Have you ever had a really rough day? You're totally fried. Frankly, you don't feel like going to the dojo, and you're the instructor, but you go to the dojo, of course. You jump over all these hurdles, you make it happen, and then nobody shows up. Or somebody shows up, but they're 10 minutes late. First of all, please know that you're not alone. This happens to a lot of different instructors, regardless of rank, regardless of experience. Secondly, kudos to you for showing up. It's just one example of leading by example. So whatever you want your students to do, it starts with you. So kudos. In today's video, I'm going to talk about one of my 3 golden rules of teaching Aikido, which is to lead by example. I think it's the most important rule of being a teacher and possibly the most difficult. Learning to lead by example will make your job easier in the long run. It'll help you gain confidence as a teacher and reduce stress without having to compromise your values or sacrifice your own training. Hi, my name is Leah Suzuki and I'm an Aikido instructor based in Los Angeles, California. Welcome to my virtual dojo, where I give you tools to help you become the best teacher you can be, while not having to compromise your values or miss out on your own training. Before we jump into today's video content, I want to put a resource in your hands that's free. I want to give you my teacher training checklist called the 3 Golden Rules of Teaching. It's a simple PDF guide. The checklist will help you gain confidence as a teacher, reduce stress around teaching and managing your dojo, and encourage and empower your students to increase their progress, all while not having to compromise your values or sacrifice your own training time. You can download it at leahsuzuki.com/goldenrules, or just click the link in the description below. I hope you enjoy the gift, and I hope you take action on it. So let's talk about leading by example. In my opinion, it's probably the most important thing that you can work on as an instructor. And it's probably the most difficult or challenging or demanding thing as an instructor. When I told my senpai in Japan that I was going to go to America and start a dojo, the thing that I heard often from all different senpai was "warui-kusei o sugu mane shimasu," means they copy your bad habits very easily or immediately. In other words, your students will copy your bad habits. In other words, they'll sometimes copy your good habits, but your bad habits especially will be reflected back to you in your students. In other words, don't use the format of do as I say, not as I do. You've got to do. You've got to demonstrate the behavior that you want to see in them. So, let's go into some of the benefits, the reasons. I've got some stories that will maybe shed more light on these, give you some deeper understanding. First of all, one of the benefits, you'll have a dojo culture set in place. And if there's a dojo culture, then students will absorb certain things, certain rules, certain customs subconsciously. Or at least your job of enforcing certain things won't be as strong. You won't need to enforce so many things or enforce them so strongly. One story. I had just gotten to Japan and I found out about some concert or something that was happening on a Friday night. And at Higashi Totsuka Dojo, where I was a student, Takeda Shihan's dojo, our keiko, our trainings, were Tuesday night, Friday night, and Sunday morning. And then there were some other dojos of his senior students. So we were, at that time, we had opportunities to train 6 nights a week. So anyway, I found out that there was this concert happening on Friday, and I said to a group of my senpai, I said, "Hey, there's such and such a band playing at such and such a place on Friday night. and nothing happened. Like nothing. It was as if I hadn't spoken. And a couple of them spoke English. And so then I repeated it. I'm like, oh, they didn't hear me. So I said it again. And then finally one of them said really nicely, he goes, oh, but Friday night? I said, yeah. And he said, oh, Friday night is Keiko. And I said, oh. And that was it. And, you know, the other four of them or whoever, like they kind of looked at me and they watched the exchange and they were all like, there was no scolding, no judgment, you're a bad person, good person, at least not that I could perceive. And so we didn't go to the concert Friday, you know, and big deal. I got to train Friday. But anyway, there was this culture of, you know, training nights are sacred. And we work our social lives around the training nights. And so Takeda Shihan's dojo was Tuesday, Friday, Sunday. So those were sacred, right? So you figure out your home dojo and you don't mess with that. So anyway, my point is that nobody really had to force that or scold me or, you know, whatever. That just kind of, I just realized, oh, wow, that's how they do it here. And of course, it paid off tremendously. I was still a white belt at that time, you know, and now I see, oh my gosh, that really paid off. Another thing, your students will be much more engaged if they see you really pushing yourself. That'll help motivate them to push themselves. I've got another story. This happened maybe back in like 2014 or something. I was living in Santa Barbara, California, and then I started teaching at a little rec center in Los Angeles just once a week. Just sort of testing the waters to see if it made sense for me to start a dojo in Los Angeles, which now I'm in Los Angeles, so it did make sense. Anyway, so I was driving back and forth once a week. It was about 90 minutes or 2 hours each way. So about a 3.5 or 4 hour round trip. And I was just launching it, so I still only had a handful of students. And I think that this one particular night was like maybe just before a holiday or something. I'm not quite sure. Anyway, I was having a really not a great day, but it was time to go down to Los Angeles to teach. And got in my car. Traffic was bad, and it kept going. And I forget, a couple of things happened along the way, some detours and whatever. So it took 2 hours to get to the dojo that day. And at the time we had mats that had to be put down and picked up every time. I got to the dojo, nobody's there. And then finally this minivan pulls up. First we had kids class, then adults class. Minivan pulls up. A mom and her 2 boys get out of the car. They were students of mine. And the one brother is so angry. Just, I don't know what happened. He's just in a rage. And the other brother seemed okay. They came into the dojo. No other families showed up that day. And our job was to put the mats down. And I knew that the mom had a bad back. I knew that if I started putting the mats down, she would help me, and then her back would hurt. And I knew that there was a chance that there might not be adults showing up afterwards, so we might have to put them away also. I thought, oh my gosh, you know, I can't do that. Even if I say, no, I'm okay, don't help, she's going to help. And yeah. So anyway, I just made the call like, okay, we're going to clean the floor. And it was a wood floor, nice wood floor. We're going to clean the floor. We'll do some sword work. The one brother is refusing to do anything anyway, so I'll just have a private lesson with this 9-year-old brother, and we just do it on the wood floor. It's good enough. And so we clean the floor together, and then we train. And then I started, it always happens, I love Aikido, so I started to get more and more excited. And finally, after doing some sword work and some bunny hops and whatever, finally we're doing some techniques. And we're falling on the wooden floor. And then I'm doing katate dori kokyu nage ge. So we're like actually taking rolls on the floor. And the first time I took a roll on the wood floor, the kid's eyes just went like that. And so anyway, the class finished. It did turn out to be a private lesson. The other brother refused to train. They got back in their minivan, drove off. No adults showed up for the adults class. Again, it was a new dojo. I only had a handful of students at that point anyway. I drove home. At this point, it's rush hour, so it took two hours or more to get back. And the whole time driving back to Santa Barbara, I was like beating myself up, and I was asking, like, what am I doing? Oh my God, I'm whatever Dan I was at the time, 5th or 6th Dan, and I'm driving 2 hours to 5 hours round trip drive to train with a 9-year-old boy, and and on and on and on. And so about 2 or 3 years later, the same boy who's still training with me at that point, he says, "Hey, Sensei, when are we going to do that cool technique again?" And I was like, "Cool technique? What tech? They're all cool, He goes, No, that one that you and I did." I'm like, "We're always doing techniques. What are you talking about?" No, that time when no one showed up." "Oh, the time when no one showed up and we trained on the wood floor? Yeah. You did that one technique that was really cool." And I was like, "Show me, what attack was it?" He tells me, "Katate dori." I grab his wrist. He goes to do kokyu nage ge. I was like, "Oh my gosh." He goes, "That one was so cool." So he was so inspired by that, so motivated by that, never forgot that, training with his sensei one-on-one on the wood floor. I guess my point there is that you never know the impression that you're making on your students. So, like I said, keeping people engaged, keeping people motivated. If you push yourself, they'll notice that. And then especially if there's like one-on-one time with the sensei, they notice that, they remember it. Another story on the same point, really. We were having morning class in Yokohama, and I got there in time to get changed and warm up 5 minutes or so and bow in. And then I realized a senpai called my attention to, like, "Oh, who else was there? And oh, did you get there in time to help with the cleaning?" And I was like, "Oh, the cleaning." So I started taking the earlier train. It still wasn't early enough. Earlier. Finally, I got there with my senpai who was, I found out, doing like most of the cleaning himself at 5:30 in the morning. So I took the very first train that I could possibly get out of Kamakura, 5:15, and 5:15 a.m. And so the one day, the day that I finally realized, okay, I better take that very first train because it's just not cutting it. I keep missing the whole process. I took that, and then Kadoya-san was on the same train, and we walked to the dojo together. We did the cleaning together. Still nobody's coming through the door, and I did a quick warm up. He's ready. I'm ready. Onegai shimasu. So about 20 minutes before bow-in, like I said, no one was there yet, and we had cleaned the dojo. We were changed. We were warmed up, and so now I got to train with Kadoya-san, and he was like so in demand. Everybody loved training with him. So to be able to train with him one-on-one for an indefinite amount of time, I was just really excited. Takeda Shihan lives upstairs from the dojo. He heard us. And so instead of like having another cup of tea or, whatever that he could have done, he came downstairs and he did like a super quick warm up and then jumped in, "Onegaishimasu," and he started training with us. So it was just the three of us training for, I don't know, 15 minutes or so before other people started getting there. And, here I am training with one of my favorite senpai, and also with my sensei, who I normally had zero chance to throw my sensei. But here he is taking ukemi for me, a seventh dan Shihan. And maybe I was Shodan at the time. I might have still been a white belt at the time of this story. But anyway, I still remember it was Swariwaza Shomanuchi Ikkyo. And also I remember throwing him and throwing him and throwing him and thinking, wow, his ukemi is like so much less resistant than what I was expecting. And then all of a sudden I was flying in the other direction when I was nage. Suddenly, when I was thinking, I'm even getting emotional about it, when I was thinking, wow, no resistance whatsoever. And then suddenly I didn't feel how it happened. There was no push, no force. Suddenly I was taking ukemi when I was in the middle of throwing, I thought. Anyway, so this is such a strong impression on me, such a valuable experience. So, if we don't push ourselves as instructors, we run the risk of maybe, forget the word, but taking away these profound, maybe even life-changing opportunities from our students. So push yourself. Okay, so another benefit of leading by example is simply that you're going to get better. So when we push ourselves in all these different ways, like don't take the day off just because you had a terrible day, you expect your students to show up, you got to show up too. So that's a class that you don't miss, that you're tempted to cut, but you don't allow yourself to. Don't be any minutes late. So it all kind of adds up to more training time for us teachers. And it also adds to a heightened focus, a heightened drive and concentration and commitment and dedication. So you as an instructor will make more progress as well in your Aikido, not just in your teaching technique or something. Another one of my senpai, here's another story about this point, improving. One of my senpai, very athletic person, very, very, lot of energy. He was teaching just once a week, and his group had a lot of older members. And he was in his 30s at the time. And he would show a technique and then he would train in. He would get a partner and he would train in. And he told me one time that I said, wow, you get up so quick. When he took ukemi, like, he's up again. It's just incredible. And he said, well, that's how I get my workout. And I was like, wow. And so he, of course, was going to his teacher's classes as well. But for his own class, he wanted more of a workout. So instead of going like, instead of thinking like, okay, everybody's moving slow, I'll just move slow today, he thought, how can I get more of a workout without demanding that they be different? He's got people in their 60s and 70s, So he decided that he was going to work on getting up super quick. I hope you found that helpful. In conclusion, leading by example can be really demanding in the short term, but the benefits will be worth it. You'll notice that your students will be more enthusiastic and more motivated, and therefore they'll make more progress. They'll have much more respect for you. You, of course, will be making more progress too because you'll be pushing yourself more. Also, it'll be easier to onboard new students because the dojo culture will already be set. Thanks so much for tuning in. Please let me know in the comments section what you struggle with the most as an instructor. And again, I want to give you a gift, my teacher training checklist called The 3 Golden Rules of Teaching Martial Arts, to help you gain confidence as an instructor, encourage your students, and reduce stress around teaching and managing your dojo. Just click on the link below or type in leah-suzuki.com/golden-rules. leahsuzuki.com/golden rules. Again, thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.